My mic wasn't on. I kept you waiting, huh? Thank you so much for staying till the end of the show. I thought there'd be 3 or 4 people here, and this means a lot to me that you're here. This is my first time in Scotland, if I haven't told you all that yet, and I'm so thrilled to be here. You're the nicest people in the world, and I enjoy your pubs immensely.
Well, on that note, have you managed to get out and see much of Aberdeen, much of Scotland?
Not enough. We did arrive a couple days early, and we stayed out at the Meldrum House, the Castle Hotel, and that was beautiful. And my wife and I walked down to Old Meldrum, and we went to the pub, and we just chatted with people and had fish and chips, and it was the best day ever. And we wandered around, and then we went to Aberdeen. We looked around Aberdeen, went to the pub, we had fish and chips, chatted with some people, and it was the second best day ever.
Until the convention, of course.
Until today. Until right now.
So, before we got into Solid Snake and X-Men and all the rest, what was it that first drew you to acting?
We moved around all my life. When I was a kid, my dad worked for this big company, and we were just always moving. And so I never had any friends. I was always reading comic books and stuff. My mother in each town would find the community theater, and she'd audition for plays, and that's how she got to know people in the community. And when we were in California, I was 9 years old, she saw an ad for a kid's production of Pinocchio. She said, "You should audition for this." And I said, "Great." So I did, and I got a part. And then opening night, we got a picture of this. After the show, there was like sort of a little party, and the audience came, and I was 9 years old, and this very beautiful 10-year-old girl came up and asked for my autograph, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think I could do that." And then I signed it, and I was like, "This is a pretty good gig," and then I was pretty much hooked from that moment on.
So, were there any roles that you got early in your career that you feel really can set you up for later success?
Well, the rule is you follow your passion. I think the first rule is if you can do anything else, you should probably do that, because it's extremely difficult to make a living as an artist, as an actor, or what have you. But if you can't, then you have to put all of your passion, all of your confidence, all of your openness to learn into it. I think it's key to, not everybody does this, but I think it's key to treat everyone with respect. I think it's key to treat the work with enormous respect and take it all seriously, do your absolute best. And people will come to rely on you and know that if they hire you, that you'll do a good job and you'll reflect well on the project.
Well, speaking of being able to do anything else, you should do that. Is it true you ended up writing X-Men because you got a job answering the phone?
That is absolutely true. Yeah, I had made a movie called Burn, which is on YouTube, little $250,000 movie, and I had a deal to sell it, and then the deal fell through, and then I was a broke film producer. But I had made the movie, Bryan Singer had executive produced it, and so I called Bryan and said, "Can I have a job answering the phones on your current movie," which happened to be X-Men. And then it turned out that I was one of the few people working there that had read the comics, and I knew it very well, and I knew Bryan, and so I had suggested a scene to him to solve some problem of his, and he said, "Good, go put that in the movie." And so he started having me rewrite this $80 million film, which was not legal. I was not in the Writers Guild. I'd never been hired to write a film, hired to write anything. And he just kept having me rewrite, and then the studio found out, and then they were in a legal bind, and they were forced to make a deal with me. They paid me $35,000, that's the Guild minimum rewrite fee, making me the lowest paid writer of an $80 million film in history. A record that stands to this day. And then I had a job, and they had me, I did 150 drafts of the script. I went up, I was on set for the whole movie. I learned all about what making a real movie was about. And then in the end, I got sole credit, and that made me the most successful first-time screenwriter in film history, and that record stands to this day. So. Thank you.
Definitely
Very fortunate.
Is there anything in the movie that you really wanted to make happen? Because obviously the first X-Men had a much lower budget than I'm going to have. Was there anything that you had to cut that you really wanted to include, or things that you brought in later?
Oh, there were a lot of things. Yeah, we had the Danger Room in the first movie, but as you say, the budget was $75 million really. In the end, it cost 80, but $75 million, which is obviously a huge amount of money, but for a movie of that size was tight. So we couldn't do the Danger Room because it doesn't take the story anywhere. You're just sort of trapped in the house. And we also had Beast in the movie from the beginning. And we went to Jim Henson's studio. They were pitching us Beast. All these creature people were pitching us Beast. But I had written. So for the climax of the film, I had written this whole big sequence where Beast in the Statue of Liberty is like in the middle of the statue, like swinging through the rafters and fighting off what have you, and then we just couldn't afford that scene. So every time the X-Men would get ready at the end of Act 2 to go to the Statue of Liberty, Beast got his leg broken, and because we couldn't afford to animate him. And then we were like, well, this is stupid. Like, you know, he kept breaking his leg, and he's like, well, have a good adventure, you know. And we're like, well, that's the dumbest thing. So we, sadly, we cut him from the movie, and he didn't show up until X-Men 3, but by then we'd all been fired. So that was a shame.
So the X-Men movie really kind of changed the tone of superhero movies. Do you feel your fingerprints are on a lot of the MCU today?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the real key to it was, you know, the director is in charge of the whole film, and Bryan Singer was the director, and he didn't want to make a comic book film. He just wanted to make a great adventure film about real people, and the fact that we took it seriously, and the fact that I knew the comic book so well, like I knew those characters like they were my family, and so I took them seriously as three-dimensional characters. And so, yeah, that was, you know, like Tim Burton's Batman came before us, and I love that film, but there is this sort of hint of like, oh, we're making a comic book film, so we can't take it too seriously, and we have to make it a little campy, and we have to make it, you know, and again, not a knock against that film, that's an amazing film. But I think we were the first ones to not apologize for being a superhero movie. You know, we just were like, no, this is just real people in a real situation, and I think that did open. I think it definitely opened the doors for the MCU, and I think they kept a hold of that for the most part.
Did it mean a lot to you to see the MCU kind of acknowledge the X-Men universe at the end of Deadpool and Wolverine?
That was the coolest thing. So at the end of, if you've seen Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's Comic-Con, I'm assuming you have, yeah, at the very end they show a bunch of behind-the-scenes clips from our first X-Men movie, and not only did it mean a lot to me, but I am literally standing right off screen in pretty much every shot. I was there for all of that, and I have to get the movie on. I haven't got the movie on video yet, but I'm going to go through frame by frame and see if I'm in the movie. I don't know if I am.
Very well, could be. So to change that slightly, what I suspect quite a lot of people are here for is you're the voice.
Metal Gear. Yeah.
So first of all, are you a gamer yourself?
Oh yeah, I've been gaming since Pong. So
oh, wow.
Yeah. Since they invented them, I was like, oh, this. I'm into this.
So what are your memories of first becoming involved in the project? Were you approached? Did you audition?
I auditioned. I got a call. So the story is Jennifer Hale, the legendary voice actor, one of the greatest voice actresses in the world, says that we were friends, and she says she told Chris Zimmerman, the English language director of the games, to call me in for an audition. And so she takes great credit for me getting Snake. But yeah, I just went in, I read for it. That was in 1998. In 1990, 2004, I had starred in a movie called Guyver Dark Hero. Thank you. Thank you, all three of you. I appreciate the support. And I think that Hideo Kojima cast me because I was in that movie. I think he asked me to sign a poster when we were doing the first game, so I think he was a fan, and that's how I got the job.
Is it true you initially did a completely different voice?
Yeah, I auditioned with my voice, which I'm older now, but at the time my voice sounded like this, so it would have been, Colonel, this is Snake. Do you read me? And but then I read the script and I'm like, this guy's retired and he's already a legend and he's bitter and he's been killing people. He doesn't want to come back. And I was like, he can't sound like this. Like, this is ridiculous. So it just took on this, dragged over bad road, experienced, bitter, legendary guy sound. And they let me get away with it. Chris was like, this is not the voice you auditioned with. And I'm like, I know, but I just think it fits better. And she agreed, and that's how it happened.
Fair enough, that worked out in the end. Guys, this is an Interactive Planet. The speed with which that hand went into the air. Can we put a microphone in this man's hand? Sorry, once again, I did not realize you were at the top of the stairs.
Next, we'll be taking one from way up there.
Up and down.
Obviously, Snake's a legend, and what was your favourite scene from all of the Snakes that you played in?
People ask me that. There's so many amazing scenes. I mean, I think the death of Sniper Wolf was the most moving, like from the first game. That was something else, and fighting the boss in Metal Gear 3 is so beautiful and so tragic. So I think those are my favorite. When it really gets sad and when it really gets epic like that. When it gets painful, that's when it means the most to me.
Great question. Thank you very much. We have another one over here.
Pretty much the opposite. Was there ever a scene where you were like, this is complete nonsense, I need to rewrite this myself?
Oh yes. No, there were many times I had no idea what we were doing, why we were doing it. I mean, the games are so beautiful and epic and tragic, and sometimes they're just strange and silly and weird, and that's all part of the personality of the game. I didn't mind that so much, but sometimes the translation would be weird, and I'd say, well, what did they say in Japanese? And because I speak a little Japanese, and so they'd say it, and I'm like, well, that's not really. So I'd say, well, can we change it to this? Can I say it like this? And then we'd wait 45 minutes for them to call Tokyo, translate my question, translate what I wanted to say, come back to me, and then they hit the button and go, no, you may not change a word. And I was like, fair enough. That's, they didn't hire me as a writer, so they hired me as an actor, and you just say what they want you to say. So. Yes, sir.
Hi, David.
Big boss.
I've got two questions for you, if that's okay. The first one is, you had a pretty amazing career with being a voice actor, screenwriter, producer, and director. Of those different parts of your career, where do you feel most comfortable creatively?
Yeah, I feel pretty comfortable across the board. I mean, writing X-Men and never having written, I had written scripts before, I'd never been paid to do it. So working on a very expensive movie with a studio that hated my guts and wanted me fired was a new experience. Figuring out studio politics was upsetting, and I was like, oh, we're gonna go make an X-Men movie, this is gonna be so much fun. And no, nobody was having fun. It was just brutal stress. So getting used to that took some work, but acting, the pure creative stuff, you just find your inner voice and you figure out who you are as an actor, you figure out who you are as a writer, what you want to say, and all of that, when you're just on your own figuring it out, it's so fun and it's just a blast. So no, I'm pretty comfortable creative-wise. Where are you going? Oh, you gotta get the dog. You got the cutest dog. They're in our hotel.
And my other question is, with the rise of AI, which ironically links to some of the themes of Metal Gear,
Yeah.
do you have any worry as a creative, in that industry due to AI?
No.
Awesome, love it, thank you.
No, I think AI is so overblown. I don't think anybody really wants to see fake writing, fake acting, fake voices. I just don't think. I don't think that's why we go to the movies. I think we go to see human beings going through problems and feeling out how they deal with it. We get inspired by these things, and if it's all nothing, if it's all just made up by a computer, I don't think people are going to cotton on to it. Now, they may force us to watch AI shows or whatever, but I don't think the return on the investment is going to come back. They're going to be like, here's a fake thing that means nothing and it was made by nobody, and I think people are going to feel that. So, a lot of people in my industry are worried, screenwriters, actors, voice actors, or whatever, but I've heard AI versions of my voice, and it's horrible. Maybe it'll get better, but I don't think it's ever going to be alive. I don't think they're ever going to be making the thousands of choices, little tiny things in the moment that I use to grab you, in a way that you don't expect. So no. Among my peers, I'm unconcerned. I think for set design, stuff like that, it's very threatening. But here's the other thing about it. I was meeting with a producer, and he goes, I was like, you shouldn't use AI. He goes, but listen, you can't stop it. It's gonna make things so much cheaper. And I was like, yeah, that's what they said about CG. When CGI came out, they said movies are gonna cost so much less. They're gonna make a movie for a huge movie for $1 million, and now movies cost $200 million. So AI is not gonna make anything cheaper, and I don't think it's gonna make anything better. That's just my opinion, and I stand by that. I'm glad you agree, because it's just such a stupid thing.
Interestingly enough, we just had Edward James Olmos on the couch saying that he thinks AI is going to destroy the world. So that's it. Two interesting.
Oh, no. Listen.
Two interesting points of view.
It can still destroy the world. I mean, listen, AI has the potential to self-replicate and kill us in Jim Cameron style, but I don't think it's going to overload us with great movies. Come on.
Don't know if that's where you're shooting or not. I think the microphone's just up there.
Hi, David.
Hey.
I'm really curious about thinking about your voice acting experience. How that comes into your writing. Does that change the choices you make or the things you choose to do when it comes to your writing style?
The acting experience? Yeah. Yeah. People ask me. It's enormously helpful. I think all actors should write, and I think all writers should act, whether it's professional or just, for fun. People ask me all the time, they're like, do you write characters for certain actors, Brad Pitt or I don't know, I'm sure there's other actors, Susan Sarandon, who knows. And I don't. Every character that I write is essentially me, or at least I come up with a character and I say, okay, here's their situation. Here's they're a 60-year-old woman and she's been working her whole life and she's sort of tired and or fearful or whatever. And then I play that role in my head as if if I was doing a voiceover, I could do voiceovers for women, for children, for whatever. So I put myself in that role. I feel it out, and then I create the character from my lived experience. Then a great actor comes in and they read it, they bring their own energy to it, and it becomes its own thing. So yeah, being an actor was very informative for me, becoming a writer.
Do we have another?
Hey David, what was the weirdest scene you had to film as Snake?
Well, there's a scene where I'm talking with, I can't remember, I think it's Drebin, where I'm talking about my poop nightmare, where there was just the whole world was poop and diarrhea and stuff. That was weird. And And then there was a scene, I think again, or maybe paramedic, where I was talking about Santa Claus. He's real, I tell ya. NORAD tracks him every year. So that was unusual. Then one day they came up in the booth and they said, okay, we need you to read this side game. And I read it and I'm like, snake versus monkey? Yes. And they're like, yeah, just do it. So I was like, okay. So that's what it's like being Snake, you know, you just take what you get on the day.
I believe the microphone is up on the left-hand side there.
Hi David, my question is, well it's actually not my question, but Paul's question here. When's the next Metal Gear Solid game coming out?
It's, okay, I was just about to say a date, you know, for fun, and then I was like, oh, the internet will explode, so I can't do that. I have no idea. All I know is we got the Master Collection coming out, they've finally broken out Metal Gear 4, and they're bringing Peace Walker back, and all of that. Beyond that, I do not know what their plans are, but I hope to find out. I will if they do more, I will probably find out before y'all, but I wouldn't be able to say. But I was this close to saying, oh, it's April 2027, you know.
I really wish you had. Just for
I know, but I was like, I've been doing this too long to take that kind of risk.
Yes, sir.
Hi David, I'm Cameron. I was wondering, what's your proudest achievement in your entire career?
Big question.
God, I don't know. You know, a lot of, I mean, I've been so proud of a lot of these things, but I think the proudest moment, I was in Toronto for the opening weekend of X-Men, and I went with a friend of mine who's a big comic book fan, and I'd never seen it with an audience before, and we went in, and we were in this massive theater, it was packed, and we were sitting right in the middle, and so the movie was playing for about 15 minutes, and the audience was dead silent. And I turned to my friend, I was like, are they just bored out of their minds? Like, what's going on? He goes, they're not bored. And I'm like, yeah, okay, you're just kissing up to me. I'm like, I think they're bored. And then Wolverine and Rogue are in his truck, and she says, you know, you should wear your seatbelt. And he goes, I don't need to take automotive advice from you. And then, bam, they hit a tree. Wham! He goes through the front windshield. And he slides across the snow. Bam! He hits into this snowbank. Overhead shot, and it goes dead silent. And the audience went insane. They were just like, like that. And at that moment, I was like, oh my God, we did something that people like. And that was probably my proudest moment.
Fantastic. And, your question just done it.
After meeting you on Friday, you got me wanting to play Metal Gear.
Oh, good.
You've never played?
I've seen X-Men many times.
If you bought the DVD, I got 5 cents from that, so you're all good with me. I don't get anything if you buy Metal Gear.
And Blu-ray.
Yeah. And Blu-ray, fantastic. I think that's a dime.
Which game would you recommend to start with?
It's a tough question. I'm going to answer and then I'll ask the audience. But I think, look, you either start with Metal Gear Solid, which is how the world started, or pick up Delta. That's the earliest in the canon. So I think either one is a viable choice. What does the audience say?
Delta.
They say, okay, most of them said Metal Gear Solid, one of them said Snake Eater, so take that as you will. But good luck, I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit.
You need to start with the first one. What are we talking about here?
Okay, fair enough.
Go back to the beginning.
It is amazing, and they're clearly, and you know, the way Kojima directed it, it clearly is there to bring you into the world, so. They remated it, I saw that. I just saw that it's now crisper on the Master Collection. So I'm going to go straight home and play it. I'm not kidding.
Does someone have the next one? Oh, there we go.
Hi David, thanks for coming to Scotland for the first time.
I'm so excited to be here.
Speaking about the first Metal Gear Solid, what were you thinking during the first few weeks or months of actually starting to voice Solid Snake? Were you like, oh, this is going to be something, or?
Yeah, you won't believe this, but I believe we recorded the whole first game in 10 days. Metal Gear 4 took us 9 months, so to give you an idea. I went in, so I was a gamer, I knew I had a PlayStation, I knew the state of the art. I saw the Yoji Shinkawa drawings up on the walls. I was like, okay, I've never seen anything like that. And then, middle of the first day of recording, Jeremy Blaustein, one of the producers who did the translation, amazing translation of the first game, he goes, I'm going to play you a cutscene from the game. And he plays me the scene of Snake shooting down the Hind D helicopter. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, nobody's ever seen anything like that before. And at that moment, I was like, okay, this is going to be a big swing. Like, they're really aiming to change the game, so to speak. And I kind of felt at that moment, this is going to be a big game. I didn't know that I'd be in Scotland 28 years later talking about it, but I'm grateful that I am.
We are running out of time, so this might be the last question, so no pressure.
Hi David, it's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
And my question is, throughout your whole entire career, if it's within like Metal Gear or your directing, who is the hugest actress or actor that you have worked with or have had to email, and why?
Oh, well, I directed a movie called Wolves, so I think literally the hugest actor I've worked with is Jason Momoa. He's a 6'5" man mountain. And he also, so his agent contacted me and said, you know, Jason would like to be in your movie. And he wasn't, you know, he had done Game of Thrones, but he wasn't a huge movie star yet. And the financiers were like, well, we don't think he's a big enough star. So I looked him up on the IMDb star meter, and he was #1. He was more famous than anybody in the world at that moment because of Game of Thrones. And I was like, yeah, he'll be fine. So, so we cast him. I mean, I've also been lucky enough to work with Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, and Halle Berry, and Jimmy Marsden, Hugh Jackman. I was there when we discovered Hugh Jackman, so like I was standing right next to him. And so it's been incredible that I've been able to work with people at that level. But I think at the height of their fame, well, it wasn't at the height of his fame, but Jason Momoa was pretty impressive, I'll say.
We're going to squeeze in one more just because I've seen the pain you've been going through trying to keep your hand in there. Last question.
Do you have a favorite Chinese proverb from the first 2 games?
I wish I could just reel it out and go, yeah, it's this one. I'm sorry, I don't remember. What's your favorite? You don't know either, do you?
No, it's because I'm on the spot. I'm kind of losing it. It's
yeah, try being me.
I know. Something about friends arguing. Popcorn says it.
Yeah, that one was my favorite. Friends should never argue because in the end they are friends. I think that was it. I nailed it.
Deeply moving.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you so much for all your questions.
Those were excellent questions. Thank you.
David, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being with us today.
Oh, man.
And once again for David Hayter!
Thank you so much. And Scotland, you're pretty good.
Guys, once again, big round of applause.